Oseo
Hoseo.
and Namaste.
Namaste.
The month of March has been celebrating Women's History Month. And so I wanted to be in synchronicity with that, so I have been consecutively presenting themes, both Native America and India for that. The season started out there sometime in February with Sarasvati to begin the season of spring, and she's like the goddess of music and arts, learning, education, and intellect in there. And today I'm presenting the spirit of spring and nature, and the spring equinox is Durga. So all of this is to culminate this in the spirit of women's current achievements of getting elected into governments and all kinds of other things. A lot have been on television, even police women behind the badge, and so forth. So I'm going to start with something here that's going to be up here, this piece up here. In the 19th century, it was discovered in western India, ancient ruins that nobody knew about. And these were walled cities built with bricks and things like that. And a vast array of mostly small artifacts were found. Thousands of things, small figures and everything, mostly of a female. Among those were what they called seals. Seals that were carvings in steatite stone, almost a sculptural relief like that. And what I'm presenting here is that I've replicated a particular theme to go with this woman and the tiger. The sequence that they put together, 3 or 4 of these seals, begins with a woman who is a part of or emerging out of this tree. And we're calling this tree a neem tree. That's what I have pictured here. The neem tree is a tree of medicinal qualities and things, somewhat like tea tree. You get tea tree oil out of it, and so forth. Anyway, this woman is emerging out of this tree, and she seems to be beckoning at the same time to a passing tiger. And the tiger, is turning up and, looking at her. In the next scene, another seal, she's out of the tree, and now, she has horns and feet like a bovine, maybe a ram or something like that. And she's rather curved over, bent over the tiger. And the tiger has horns that would look like the branches of the neem tree there. And then in the final seal that I have duplicated here, she has transformed, or they have transformed together, the woman and the tiger. And she's pulling back her braided hair, a long braid, which would customarily be the signature of yogini. So she's, a medicine woman in ancient India. This is about 5,000 years ago. And this theme seems to have connected here in Hinduism. In Hinduism, this is this woman with the tiger. This woman here is a Devi. Devi is the Indian word for goddess. Her name is Durga. That is an indigenous name that seems to mean something like unapproachable. And unapproachable, she doesn't end up getting married and having children or doing any of the domestic things at all. But she is the spirit of spring and nature and the earth, and very, very benign. But her array of multi-arms holding weapons has sometimes been misinterpreted. And to kind of make an illustration of this would seem quite different. Here is this very famous photograph of Hieronymo, his son, and others of his family holding rifles. These rifles are of different vintage. The one that Hieronymo here is holding is quite an antique. I wouldn't trust firing it. And that this has been misinterpreted in that they're brandishing these weapons in a threatening way. But that's not the case. There's a name for this kind of brandishing, I can't recall it. These people are called Apaches. Americans have called them that. Their ancestors have come from the area of eastern Afghanistan and western Turkestan. They are Turkoman, actually, and they are magicians. And their weapons are spears and bows and arrows, not rifles. So what are they doing? They're showing that these are the weapons that they have taken from their enemies. That's the way that they're brandishing them. So here, Durga has also been taken to be a very martial goddess, somewhat like Athena, becoming the martial defender of Athena. But actually, all of these things that she's holding have all been weapons, symbols, and so forth of the male gods. We have a similar incident in Ireland. We have in Ireland St. Patrick and the shamrock. The shamrock is really the footprint of the three goddesses, and that has been taken over by somebody else. So very characteristic here, she's carrying this trident, a Trishula, and this is the major symbol of the threefold goddess. And she has the conch and the mace and the sword and the lotus and the bow and arrows. All of these have now been turned into symbols or attributes of male gods. They have willingly relinquished these and give them back to her. She's a defender of the earth. That's really who she is. She's like an earth goddess. But being an earth goddess, she had rather an unbecoming look to her face, and her devotees had a hard time getting along with looking at her. So somebody came along and he had some magic instrument, and he put this down here below her that transformed her now into a very comely looking goddess woman. And so the relation that I see of this woman of the tiger and the ancient woman of the tiger, as if some kind of other cultural DNA, can we call it, has gone from one to a much later time. This would be maybe 2,000 years after this, the beginning of her there. And also that India was being occupied and dominated by the English. That started with the East India Trading Company, who began to exploit labor and land in India for the better of the parent country, England, in other words, imperial. And the Indians became unhappy with the situation, so a new sense of nationalism began to arise. And with that, Durga now became the champion of a new nationalism. And last week I read a poem by Rabindranath Tagore, and that was his poem. And today I'm also doing another Tagore, but in this case it's a poem that he put the music to. And he sang this in 1902, 1906 at the new National Congress of India in Calcutta, in that way. And I've selected it because it seems to me to be most expressive both of her and of the new national idea of India as, we would say, as a goddess. So this was a poem that was actually written in a novel that was in the late 19th century and got a lot of attention with the new Indian nationalists. But Tagore is not really meaning to sing it in that way, and it's doubtful that the author meant it that way. But there is that ambiguity in it. I hail the mother, well-watered, fruitful, dusky with crops, the mother, with her nights made glad by brilliant moonlight, adorned with many trees and flowering blossoms, with her pleasant smile and sweet speech, joy giver, boon giver, the mother. Oh, you who are made fearsome by the hum of 17 million voices, you who are armed with sharp swords grasped by 70 million hands, why, O mother, are you weak when you have such might? To you, the mighty one, I bow, the deliverer, the queller of foes, the mother. You are wisdom, you are virtue, you are in my heart, you are in my life. You are the very soul of my body. You are the Sakti. You are the tenderness that is the Bhakti. The images that I would build in every temple. You are Durga, armed with her 10 weapons. You are Lakshmi, wandering among the lotus blossoms. And you are Sarasvati, the wisdom giver. To you I bow to the fair, spotless, peerless, well-watered, fruitful mother. I hail the mother, the dusky, simple, smiling, richly decked, land, my nurse, my mother. Thank you. Durga is particularly featured in both the autumn equinox and the spring, and that's the one I'm featuring here. And here in my display, if you can go down to here, this pot is also the symbol of her. For one, it means the mother, the womb, and to put plants in that, or fruit and so forth. And here I have a plant that's springing out of all of that. And down below that you see a blue bottle. This bottle it says, worthy of worshiping. This have the water in it of the Gangas and the Sarasvati that converge in a particular place and gather this sacred water. And in the ceremony or the puja, the priestess will take a vessel of this water and sprinkle whatever symbols or artifacts of her that are there. And just to fill this out, down there is a very, very tiny little murti, an idol of hers. It's quite old, has her multi arms and so forth. It's very characteristic of her. And this is made for very home kind of worship. Worship is puja. They put water on it or something like that. But anyway, she is here in her authentic miniature form with that. And so I'm thanking Claudia for her arti here. And earlier, the TV audience won't know that Kathleen also did a poem. Here, it's her birthday, that totally describes, this aspect that in English has turned into things like witches and other of these mysterious women who had this kind of power that was involved totally, with the plants and the animals. And that's what's very much implied in these ancient artifacts. Something that is going on and transforming between the animals, the plants, and the women. Basically, we can make that out. So again, Durga represents the underlying energy in all of life, and especially plant life. Thank you.